Hello everyone, it's Brian here with a stupid yet mercifully short video. So the other day I was kind of perusing the shelves looking for something I wanted to play. I wasn't sure what I wanted to play. And sometimes you're looking and you're thinking, well, I listened to that one not so long ago, or yeah, I'm not sure I want to hear that, it doesn't really fit the mood. And my eyes caught the spine of this record from the Black Keys called El Camino, which oddly I did not play. However, I'm sure many of you know this record, and I'm sure most people watching will know that the vehicle on the cover here is not an El Camino. It is, from my memory, a Grand Caravan, I believe. And the band made a deliberate and kind of amusing choice to put a vehicle on the cover that didn't match the title of the record. And I think they did that because in the early days when they were touring, they would drive around in a van such as this with their equipment in the back. So they made the choice of a deliberate mismatch of title and album cover. And this is the deluxe edition, so you get another one on the back, and then you get a blue one here and a red one here. So hilarious when you think about it. I mean, there may be people in the world who don't know that this is not an El Camino, or don't even think about what kind of car this might be, but I thought it was fun. And it made me wonder if I have any other records in my collection where the image on the front doesn't really match the title of the record. Now, I know there's lots of reasons people choose album cover art and even title. Sometimes it's a title track. So I'm not making any judgments here. I'm just showing you records where I think there's a big mismatch between the title of the album and the 12-inch single, in fact, and the image on the front. So one of the first ones I thought of was this record from Echo and the Bunnymen. Now, of course, you could say something about the fact that these guys never really dressed up as bunnies, but this is called Porcupine. And so the image we have here is a frozen kind of, I don't know, is a waterfall or glacier-like looking thing on the front and back. Now, I realize it would be, too on the nose to put a porcupine on the cover of an album called Porcupine, although it would be cute. But this is the last thing I would think about when I'm thinking about porcupines, which is maybe why they chose it. But anyway, this is a very mismatched title. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's completely the opposite of what you might expect when you're thinking about an album called Porcupine. This is a Canadian band that I'm going to see, I think, in April, called The Grapes of Wrath. And this album, believe it or not, is called Treehouse. Now, I don't know what kind of childhood these guys had, but if this is your conception of a treehouse, I think you had it made even before you went to school. That's a phenomenal treehouse. Maybe this record should have been called House. I don't know. Good record, though, but that's certainly not a treehouse. Here we have a band called Shriekback, and this is called Oil and Gold, even though it probably could be called Eels and Feathers. Now, I realize the eels are a black, kind of murky, oily color. Feathers, not so gold as far as I can tell. It does make me laugh, though, because there's neither oil nor gold on the cover of this album. This was a very early one that I thought about because it's completely mismatched, intentionally so. Star Wars by Wilco with this adorable, fluffy white cat, which in no way you would ever find in a Star Wars film as far as I know, but it makes me laugh. And I think that was an image hanging in a studio somewhere, as I recall, and they put it on the cover. Intentionally amusing, but still funny. Star Wars. This one kind of makes sense if you look at the back cover, but this is Pat Metheny's American Garage, and the first thing you see are these silver campers or camper trailers there. And I think in the back there are garages here, but the first thing you actually see are these trailers. So why isn't it called American Trailers? Who knows? Although on the back they are shown recording or performing in a garage. So kind of amusing that the album cover shows these camper trailers and not a garage. Kind of funny. This is a band out of Montreal called Boot Sauce. And believe it or not, this record is called the Brown Album. It's quite famous for a couple of tracks, including Let's Eat Out, Scratching the Hole, etc. Everyone's a Winner. This is orange, though, in my opinion. Even if you remove this slip cover, it's actually mostly blue and a bit of white, etc. Certainly not brown. So the Orange Album, maybe. Now this one only makes me laugh because I come from a family where my stepmother loved aspic. If you don't know what it is, look it up. ASPIC. She made tomato aspic, which I thought was the most vile thing I've ever tasted. So when I hear the phrase lark's tongues in aspic, I actually take it literally to mean lark's tongues suspended in this horrible aspic. And instead we get what I think is a really beautiful cover of this sun image, which is really quite nice, but it doesn't suggest lark's tongues in aspic in any way, but kind of curious. Now, if you're going to release a 12-inch single for a song called Girlfriend in a Coma, I guess you probably wouldn't put an image of a woman in a coma, either real or someone pretending to be. But I do find this interesting that she doesn't seem to be anywhere near a comatose state. Now, the Smiths, of course, were famous for putting images of famous and semi-famous people on their cover, so that kind of continues that trajectory. But this woman doesn't look like she's anywhere near being in a coma, so it kind of makes me chuckle. Now, back in Springsteen's dancing days, we have Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen. Now, to take this image or this cover song title image, if you would take this song title literally, it should be a black or almost black image, but that's difficult to pull off. So we have him dancing in probably fading light. Looks like there's a bit of an orange cast here. Maybe it's around sunset or something. But certainly not dancing in the dark, but getting there, I suppose. Similarly, the Northern Pikes, I've always loved this image of them on the cover of the single Dancing in a Dance Club, where it looks like they're actually standing in a dance club, you know, on the edges, certainly not dancing. I guess it'd be weird to have them dancing, but it does strike me as a little bit funny. All right, here's an album called Bird Wood Cage from the Wolfgang Press, and on the cover here is a really disgusting old toilet with an awful wooden toilet seat that's just too vile to talk about. So certainly not a bird wood cage of any kind. No birds, no cages, even on the back. But I've always wondered about the title of this. There might be a reason for it. Maybe I used to know, I'm not sure. And then, TV on the radio. This is called Desperate Youth, Bloodthirsty Babes. And the image is, I don't know, is it taillights from a car or something? Not quite what you'd imagine. If you heard the title of an album called Desperate Youth, Bloodthirsty Babes, you might have a different understanding of what the cover might look like. Still fun, though. This one makes sense if you look at the rear cover, but on the front cover we have Soft Cell's Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret. We just have these two dudes standing here. On the back, yes, you do get the sort of sleazy part of town with peep shows and cinemas. But if you looked at the front, you would think that's not a Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret at all. And finally, the very first record that occurred to me when I thought of album titles that don't really match the cover, The Cure's Pornography. Not even close. All right, so that's it for my stupid short video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.